From the firehouse in beautiful downtown North Manchester, Indiana, it's Christopher Blue or Good Night with Christopher Blue. Here's Christopher Blue.
Hello and welcome to Good Night with Christopher Blue. I'm Christopher Blue, and we have a wonderful show for you tonight. Tonight, we are talking about a documentary about real-life superheroes. So, of course, I need to get my superhero co-host out here, Reverb! Halloween is over. You are back in your awesome shirt that you can get in the description. Merch store. Click the link, please. And how was your Halloween? Did you have a fun time?
I enjoyed it.
Good. The joke is we film these episodes way in advance.
I was going to say I hope so.
Reverb, we have been in the game of real-life superheroes for a long time.
Yes.
And we have been a part of news stories. You know, we've been in the paper many times. One thing we have not accomplished is being in a full-on documentary about real-life superheroes. Yeah. But, you know, early on in my real-life superhero career, there was a documentary that came out in 2011. What was it called?
Superheroes?
It was called Superheroes, correct. You are not a fake fan.
I was starting to think that was a trick question. It's just superheroes. Yeah,
so it was called Superheroes, directed by, I'm terrible with names. It's like Michael Brinatte or something like that. Michael B. We'll just say Michael B.
Wait, Michael B. Jordan?
Dang it. No. But there was this documentary called Superheroes. It was released by HBO, I believe.
Yep.
If you guys want to watch it yourselves, we had a hard time tracking it down. It is on Amazon Prime, just apparently not in the U.S. We ended up finding it for free on Tubi.
Or not Tubi.
So go to Tubi and look up Superheroes, the real-life superhero documentary, so you kind of know what we're talking about here. I wanted to talk about kind of what has changed since that documentary, what we liked about that documentary, what we hate about that documentary, and maybe campaign to have a new real-life superhero documentary that stars today's real-life superheroes. And one Reverb. So, go ahead and start us off with what you liked about the documentary.
Well, we're real-life superheroes, and it had people in masks, and that was cool. I like the way that it presented the community. It didn't set out to make us look like we were crazy people with, it didn't make it look like we were delusional. It didn't try to make it seem like we think we have powers, or most of us know that we don't have powers.
Yeah. We'll get there.
It focused on the fact that we do crime prevention patrols, where we just act as a second pair of eyes and ears for police, and that we generally try not to get involved if we don't need to, and that we the homeless outreach angle, where it's showing how important it really is.
Yeah. To expand kind of what you were saying, I think they did a real good job at showing that real life superheroes are real people. You know, we do have flaws, and we are not the perfect comic book, heroes. With some people, that was very apparent. But I will say too, and some people might give this some negative points. It didn't seem like they were trying to paint real life superheroes in a negative light at all. But it also didn't seem like they were trying to be unbiased. It seemed like they did work a little bit to put a positive light on real life superheroes, which I appreciate, being a real life superhero, giving us positive exposure. But at the same time, I feel like other people could look at that and be like, oh, okay, they're trying to make them look good. They're not actually good. So by seeing something in a positive light, in turn, people could think negatively towards it. But yeah, my favorite part of that documentary is probably the last 10 minutes of it, or that last scene of it. And you'll see heroes like Razorhawk, who's still out doing stuff. He's the artist for our show. You'll see a lot of real-life superheroes who are no longer in the game. They're retired. Thanatos, DC's Guardian, just to name a couple. And it's this very powerful, uplifting scene at the end where they're just doing a homeless outreach. I don't know if it was the very first Hope event, but it was a Hope event.
Yep. It opened up with the cameramen at the San Diego Comic-Con, and they were showing how big of an event it was, and how many people were there, and how many people were spending hundreds of dollars on tickets and entry and merchandise and the costumes they bought. And then it went to a very quiet scene where it was just someone in the community walking across the street with a bag to hand to someone. And that was it said it was just a few blocks away.
Yeah. And there was a woman that they were interviewing, and she was talking about how they are real superheroes, and we need them more than they'll ever know. And that was a very powerful message to end the documentary on. And as we were watching it yesterday to get a refresher, I believe I had said to you, like, that right there is the best part of this documentary. But now we can't avoid it. We must talk about the bad. Because believe it or not, there is a lot of bad with this documentary. And I'll let you take it away from here, because ranting about things is kind of your thing.
And you can catch some of what he's talking about later on.
Yeah, we're working on something.
In uniform, I don't want to name drop. I do want to be a little bit professional.
Watch the movie and decide for yourself.
We do have, they do show someone who is claiming that they have been endowed with abilities from higher powers, and I don't necessarily want to say they're completely delusional, but I think maybe they're just trying to really talk themselves up and maybe make themselves look a little better or sound a little cooler than they are. They show that person drinking alcohol after doing their patrol or their outreach, and how a beer quenches a whopping thirst.
Yep.
And I mean, of course, there's nothing wrong. You know, they do say it's okay in moderation.
Yeah.
But honestly, like especially in uniform, I just don't think it's professional to be drinking alcohol and promoting alcohol.
Right.
There's, I actually think it's in a rule that for the group that we joined, that in uniform you no smoking, any kind of tobacco products, no legalized substances, no alcohol. Yeah, if you want to do that stuff on your own, that's fine. But you know, you're in uniform. You're being professional.
Right. For me, yeah, it definitely seemed like the idea that some real life superheroes had going into this documentary was, oh, this is my chance to look cool, instead of this is my chance to show the world what a real life superhero actually is.
Yeah.
And I guess I am hopping on the positive for a quick second again. The majority of this documentary focuses on a real life superhero who's recently retired, Mr. Extreme.
Yes.
And kind of going through his journey. And I believe he was being 100% sincere through that whole documentary, and for his contribution to the documentary, it's a huge positive. But for the other person that we're not going to name drop, it did seem like maybe he was trying to get his 15 minutes of fame.
Yeah.
And then other people, you know, I don't know if they knew how to take it. Like our friend who unfortunately is no longer with us, Superhero.
Yeah.
It was time to have fun with it, but he wasn't being super delusional either, you know.
Oh, no.
So I feel like part of the problem with the documentary is the people in the documentary didn't know how to take being in the documentary. And I think that big picture wise, it does make the real life superhero community look a little shady. Which is why, moving on, I think we need to campaign to have a new documentary about real life superheroes, starring the current iteration of the XJL, which would be kind of cool because you get to see the follow-up of where Mr. Extreme grew and took things. You get the current iteration of the initiative. I believe it started as the New York initiative, which we saw in the documentary. Now the initiative is spread out. There's a California branch. The New York branch is still there, and I believe there's a couple other branches. You know, I'm not wanting to say for Animal and Reverb to be in it, but I do believe that there is room for our team to be in a documentary like this, considering all the big events that we've done, and all the good that we've done. I feel like our team does shed a positive light on the community, and I think a documentary would be a good place for us. What are your thoughts on what a new documentary could hold?
I think it would be good to a good place to get back with some of the people that were already on the documentary, show how their lives have changed, how their views of things have changed, and then the ones that are retired, find out why they're retired or why they're still in it. They could interview some of the people that were on camera but were not talked to. because we saw a good couple of them that are still active in the community, but they were not interviewed. It could touch base with the new groups that have been operating since then. And I know that at least a couple of people have admitted that they joined the community after seeing the documentary.
Yeah.
And that's something that they could bring up.
If nothing else, the superheroes documentary is a piece of legacy of the history of real life superheroes, and I definitely feel like a sequel or a new documentary is needed to update with the current times. So, I mean, let's get on that campaign. I don't know what we need to do to get something rolling. I know you had made a comment about what if we shoot a documentary.
Yep.
And who knows? Maybe that's in our future, but who knows? A new documentary is just definitely needed.
We could do the documentary traveling in the new upcoming Birdmobile.
Yeah. Do you have any final thoughts on the topic?
You know, what you were saying about how it started, how it largely followed Mr. Extreme, and how how it's grown since the Extreme Justice League has grown since the documentary, and saying that the documentary is a bit of superhero legacy. I think that's another thing that we could touch on later on is superhero legacies.
Yeah, that's definitely a future topic we'll get to. But yeah, until next time, thank you guys so much for liking, commenting, sharing, and subscribing. Don't forget to click that bell so you get notified whenever we upload new content. Until next time, good night, my sweet baby angels. I'll see you tomorrow.